What's the difference between walking with shoes and walking with socks from an acoustical perspective with regards to walking noise, and how does this affect the sound character on timber constructions compared to concrete constructions? Well, first, let's take a look at what the frequency spectrum looks like. So, if you have sound pressure level here and the frequency here. So if we take first then let's say dark gray for concrete, the spectrum of the sound will look something like this on the concrete construction. And if we take wood, we'll do it in orange, it's gonna look more like this, the walking sound. So this is the sound pressure level in the room below you when someone is walking on the floor above. Let's be clear here as well. Wood and concrete. Now, as you can see, the spectrum is quite different between these two. The wood produces a lot more low frequency energy, but it's better up here in the higher frequencies. Whereas with concrete, it's the other way around. It's lower sound pressure for low frequencies, and it's higher up here. Now, when you're walking with shoes on these constructions, what's going to happen on the concrete if you compare shoes with socks? So when you're walking with socks on a concrete construction, like in a dwelling, for instance, it's going to be quite quiet, pretty silent. And when you put on your shoes and you walk, it's going to be a very clear clickety 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 clack when the soles of the shoes hit the floor, especially if you got the harder the shoes, the more click 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 noise you will get. And this is quite interesting, because if you compare dwellings to premises, at least in Sweden, when you're at home, you don't wear shoes indoors, you walk with socks. So, but when you're in the premises, schools, offices, whatever, you typically wear shoes, and then you will get the clickety 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 sound. Now, if you do the same experiment on a wood construction, I did this in my PhD thesis. One of the studies I did was to compare in a listening test how the subjective perception differs between these two cases and these two principal types of floor construction. So when you're walking with socks on a timber construction, it's gonna sound like boom, 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 boom. Just imagine that you go up on your toes and you fall down on your heels like this. And you get a pretty bass character sound, like a boom. Now, if you do the same thing but with shoes, it's not gonna sound the clickety clickety clack, because the wood, it's still very good impact sound insulation at the high frequencies. So even though you add the clickety clickety clack sound, it won't transmit as much to the room below. And my experience from that listening test is that when you have wood, let's call it wood with socks, it's kind of like that, and then you do wood with shoes in green, it sounds more like this. So it's pretty similar up there. Subjectively, it's not that big of a difference, actually. Oh, let's do a thinner pen. And the reason for that is that the high frequencies that you add with the shoes, they don't get through in the same way in the wooden construction as it does in the concrete construction. So it's kind of like you just take the volume knob on the low frequencies with a boom, boom, boom. And when you use shoes, you get an improvement up here that is quite noticeable. And I just realized the other day that this is very interesting when you compare dwellings to premises, because, like I said earlier, in the dwellings you walk with socks, and in the premises you typically walk with shoes. And this indicates that the risk of noise annoyance might be lower in the premises because people are walking with shoes. And there is another critical aspect here as well. When you're talking about dwellings, you typically have shorter span widths. And when you're talking about premises, the rooms are larger in size, which gives bigger span widths. And that can also have an effect on the low frequency of performance. So it's perhaps not that obvious, these things, but that's also what makes it so fun to work with wood, because there are so many different parameters that has an effect here. So I think you will need a little different approach when you're designing premises compared to dwellings. And the risk of annoyance, it's there, but it's somewhat different. And you need to know about these things to design the optimal building. And in today's video, I'm just wearing the white shirt and the navy blue jacket with a little burgundy pocket square with some white grayish details. And I would say that this white shirt and navy blue jacket, that's a staple piece in every man's wardrobe. So if you can only have one, this is the one I would go for, a white shirt and a blue, because it just looks so nice and professional. You can't really go wrong with this one. The blue and white is perfect. You can also rock it with a navy blue suit and a white shirt. It goes just about anywhere you can use it. So it's perfect. See you later.